Nissan's electric vehicles run on a special electricity. Not the electricity that turns on light bulbs or runs through your outlets. I'm talking that spine-tingling goosebump feeling that electrifies your body and soul. It could be the simple win of leaving on time for your morning commute or scoring the largest deal of your career. Nissan is continuously evolving and changing the game through electric vehicle engineering. Because the electricity of their cars not only moves engines, it also moves the emotions of those who drive them. To learn more about Nissan's electric vehicle lineup, visit www.nissanusa.com.
Hey everyone, Andy Cohen here. Listen, I know a thing or two about New Year's, like how you're probably just about to bail on your resolutions. And I get it. My resolution to sleep better was keeping me up at night. But not anymore, because with a Walmart Plus membership, you can save your resolutions by saving time and money. With free shipping, gas savings, video streaming, plus so much more. So don't give up. Whatever your resolution, save it with a Walmart Plus membership. Join now to get $50 Walmart cash. Terms apply. Visit walmartplus.com for more information.
Episode 304 is episode 175, Psychological Hacks for Sticking to Your Budget.
Welcome to the Frugal Friends podcast, where you'll learn to save money, embrace simplicity, and live a richer life. Here are your hosts, Jen and Jill.
Welcome to the Frugal Friends podcast. My name is Jen.
My name is Jill.
And we are excited to bring you another rerun in the lead up to my delivery rerun. I'm giving birth again.
Yes, again. Yes. we're doing a do-over.
Yeah.
We kept the first one. His name's Kai. He's great. He perfect.
Was so good. We're doing it again. We're going to replay. Just like this episode, you guys loved it so much. We are playing it again for everyone who didn't have the opportunity to hear it 2 years ago. So, and in these last 2 years, you guys have really made it clear that the psychology behind action is really what you like hearing from us. And it is what we have brought into a lot of episodes. So that is kind of thanks to this episode.
Yes. But first, this episode is brought to you by rolling over. Kind of like being pushed over, but less violent and very different from being a pushover. Rolling over is what happened to the monkeys in the bed. And while it didn't work out too well for them, we've got a version of rolling over that doesn't bump you in the head. And it's called Capitalize, where you can roll over your old 401k or other employer retirement account for free at frugalfriendspodcast.com/capitalize. Roll over that old employer retirement account.
Okay, two things. First, monkeys were jumping on the bed.
And the little one said, roll over, roll over. And so they rolled over and they fell out of the bed and they bumped their head. Mm-hmm.
Are those two different songs?
There were 10 in the bed and the little one said, roll over.
They're two different songs. Those are two different songs. Yep, those two different songs. Second is that rolling over a 401k is actually really difficult. Even if you are very familiar with your Vanguards and your Fidelity websites. So definitely utilize Capitalize. It's free and it will help you gain back control of any employer accounts out there, retirement accounts out there.
We're going to just circle back to this monkeys in the bed and the other beds. We cannot take up more time.
Okay, we will talk about this later.
We have to figure this out.
If you are interested in the psychology behind action of sticking to your budget, then we have several other really great episodes that we've aired since this originally came out. So we've got episode 273, Why You Keep Self-Sabotaging Your Budget and How to Stop. And we say budget, but really just because that's a term that most people relate to. This is really any action or really more specifically your spending, because it's not your budget that dictates your success. It's your actions. So, and then also episode 226, Save Smarter, Not Harder, How to Stick with Your Financial Plan. That was another one of y'all's favorites.
Yeah, these are all really great.
Yeah, they are. So cue those up, 273, 226. Listen to those next. And without further ado, roll over.
Don't bump your head.
So we have a few kind of bigger named articles today. Sometimes we try and get the really good, juicy, like smaller blogs that can say whatever they want. But today we're sticking with the Forbes and a Vox.com. So this first one is from Forbes, and it's short, but it's good. It is cognitive science tips for sticking to your budget. What do you think of this one, Jill?
It's great. Like you said, it's short and sweet. And to give a little background too on why Jen and I like to look at this topic, because I'm sure if you've been listening to this podcast long enough, you've heard some of these themes come out of cognitive pieces behind the decisions that we make. And again, we are whole people, but also my background is in mental health. So this is definitely something that I'm going about. This is the beautiful blend of our friendship, I think, of talking about finances and how that intersects with our mental, emotional, relational, spiritual health as well. So that's just a brief background on why are they talking about psychology. But again, because it matters. That's why
our brains are the ones that spend. We don't go into things just like, nope, nobody makes us spend money on most things. Like we decide to spend money. And sometimes we spend money and we regret it. And we spend money on things we don't want. And we're like, why did I do that?
Yes.
Why can't I stick to a budget? I made the budget.
Yeah.
And these are the reasons why.
Yeah.
This is what we're looking at.
I appreciate that the article started out by talking about some of the overspending that we've been seeing through the pandemic. So it's even relevant. I mean, it's always relevant of we as humans can struggle with overspending. But particularly through the pandemic, I think there was a lot of what they term some comfort spending, which we turn to. We turn to any level of coping mechanism. And for some of us, it can bring just that feel good thing to buy something that I want, to have some instant gratification, something new, something cool. And so recognizing that and kind of where that comes from is part of this, part of like the cognitive science behind why we spend. And so we'll just go through all of the things that they list might be leading to overspending or not sticking to budgets or not sticking to our goals, because I think all of them are useful.
Yeah. And I like that it refers to it as cognitive science research, because we don't think of our spending and our budgeting in terms of cognitive science. So I love, and I'm like a geek for stuff like this too. So I love that the first one was recognizing and combating decision fatigue. So decision fatigue refers to how carefully analyzing all the various pros and cons takes effort. We make thousands of little micro decisions a day, and every decision you make wears you down little by little after you make choice after choice. And by the end of the day, our willpower reserves have dried up, and that is decision fatigue. And so that's why a lot of times you can find yourself very successful in sticking to a diet or sticking to a budget or something for the first, 2/3 of the day. But it's that last third, typically when we get to dinner time, where it becomes really hard and all of our progress goes out the window. That is in part due to decision fatigue. And that's why we say you have to set yourself up for success after work. That's the most important part. That's where the meal planning, the meal prep, and all of that comes into place.
Mm-hmm. I think the same can be said throughout a week too. By the time we reach Friday, we can be exhausted and everything can go out the window on the weekend. So you name it. And another way to term this would be capacity. We do not have unlimited emotional, relational, mental capacity. And at some point, we're going to reach our capacity. There's landmines all over that. Sometimes we do well to discover that before we hit one of those landmines, and sometimes we don't, and it leads to overspending. But recognizing we're not unlimited and how to put in some of these helps along the way for us so that we can be operating within our capacity. That's going to be one of the things that's going to help us towards those financial goals, is recognizing decision fatigue and knowing then how to handle it.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a big reason why you see like, the tech billionaires like the Steve Jobs and those people like wear the same thing every day is because they've been taught this decision fatigue by whoever their mentors are. And they just take different decisions off the table. I put out a week of clothes for my son on Sunday. So in the mornings, I never have to wonder what he's going to wear. It's already like stacked there by his bed. And so it's not just meal planning, but like look at your life and figure out what are the things throughout the day you can do, especially after work, that can take decisions off of your plate. No decision is too small to be taken off your plate because we're looking all the way down at micro decisions. And so the fewer decisions we have to make, obviously the bigger ones take more effort, cause more fatigue, but we're even looking at taking some of those micro decisions off of our plates too. So that's a big thing to be aware of in your life and look at what are the things I can plan ahead for on Saturday or Sunday. Take those things off of my plate. Or what are things I can be doing Wednesday, Thursday to take decisions off my plate Saturday, Sunday, if that is where you struggle more with your overspending.
I've noticed I do so much better eating at home if I just have a written list of the food that I can eat for lunch and dinner. It doesn't even have to be a full on Monday, I'm making this, but to even have it written down of you have these options available to you between your fridge and your freezer, and just seeing it takes out, some of that decision fatigue and where I might then just go and say, let's just order out. Well, no, you have stuff. Here's what it is. Those simple things are helpful.
That's so great. And that's great for people who like quote unquote hate planning or hate a rigid meal plan. If you just make a list, these are the things that I can make, and just pick one.
Yeah. Exactly. The next one on this list is to not be tempted with introductory offers. So the cognitive science part of this would be the things that are appealing to us, that look good and shiny. And marketers know this, of how can we rope people in to overspending. They're primarily talking about credit card companies and how they will often offer this really low or 0% APY financing only to get you with very high APRs in the future. And that might not be the case maybe for all of our listeners. Maybe it's something else, but I feel like this could be applied across the board. It's not just credit cards trying to rope you in. I mean, this is where we could think subscriptions. Oh, XYZ is free for the first 7 days, but then they get you to input your credit card information. So then they're automatically charging you after that. And we forget to go back in and cancel. So just being aware of the fine print in any situation. Of course, our eyes can glaze over with fine print, but that shouldn't be a reason that we find ourselves overspending. We really need to have a better handle on what is this really offering? What's the catch? Is this actually useful and valuable to me? Will I actually take advantage of this, or am I falling for a marketing tactic right now?
Yeah. What this one made me think of were loss leaders. So companies, offering you the free 7-day trial, or offering you the free ice cream if you come into the store, the $5 chicken at Costco. And so these are things that will get you into a store or onto a mailing list that don't even make the company money. But when you take an action with a company, you're warming up to that company. So it becomes easier for you to walk through the doors again or to open another email. And so the more you do those micro actions, those micro interactions with a company, the more comfortable you become and the more likely you become to spend money with them. And so while free stuff is great, we highly, highly recommend free trials and getting what you can from companies. Don't take those for granted. Those are marketing tactics. And so they also bank on the concept of reciprocity. So if I do something for you, you're more likely to do something for me. And so know that that's a marketing tactic. You're not obligated to do something for any company, no matter what they've given you. It is their choice to do that. And so with these introductory offers, marketing tactics, just be aware of what the tactic is so you can be more empowered to overcome it. So the last one on here, like we said, real short, but packs a punch, is to avoid envy-inducing social media channels. So that's your friends on Facebook, your Instagram influencers that you love to follow. Social media can be such a great place. It has brought such relationships together as my husband and I, as Jill and I, but it can also be a really dangerous place and cause a lot of envy and just like wishing. People are not even being malicious when they're doing these things. They're just very excited for themselves. And you're over here like, I'm trying to reach a goal and that's out of my budget, but I want that jacket so bad.
But look at how fun that vacation looks.
Yep.
I'll even add to this. Social media has just become a big old ad. Most of what you're seeing is ads, if not like blatant ads where this is just a sponsored post. But even a lot of those people, sometimes your friends, are selling something, whether they themselves are selling something or they have partnered with a company selling something, whether some of those people that you're following on Instagram that you think are like living a really cool RV lifestyle, they're trying to sell you something. They've partnered with somebody. Check it out in their hashtags. Like, as fun as those pictures are to look at, I would venture to say only about 5% of people are you actually just keeping up with what's happening in their lives, and they're not actually an ad for you. And even then, if they're posting just about their lives, chances are they're posting the best part of their lives. That could be envy inducing. So no matter what you do, that scroll is just trying to get your money. So beware.
Yeah, it is dangerous. And I have definitely purchased things that I've seen on Instagram and TikTok. Oh, I'm not beyond it. And we're absolutely not against marketing or the cool things. I mean, TikTok taught me pesto eggs and, like praises because that's delicious. But
what are pesto eggs?
Oh, it's you use, instead of oil, you use pesto and you put the pesto in the pan and then break the egg on the pesto. Yeah. And then you put it over some sourdough. Sometimes people have put like avocado or ricotta. So it's delicious. And you just have to make sure it's in your budget. Like, that's what we're talking about. Spend with your values. Spend on what you want to spend on. Just make sure it's what you really want to spend and not what you feel like you should spend or you feel like you want to spend. Don't trust your feelings. Trust your values.
Do the scroll. Just make sure it's mindful.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And basically, I think in summary with this article, they're advocating for us understanding our own thoughts and feelings behind what might be leading us to overspend or not stick to our quote unquote budget. It could be a variety of things. It could be that our budget isn't realistic, or we do have a tendency to buy when we're sad, you name it, but we're not going to actually be able to change our behaviors if we're not looking at the thoughts and feelings leading to that. So a little bit of mental health counseling background for you. Many of you will be familiar with this concept. It's a cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT for short, concept that our thoughts lead to feelings, lead to behaviors, this cycle. First we have the thought, which then gives us some sort of feeling or emotion inside of us, which then leads to the behavior. And a lot of times we will try to hit something at the behavior level and it totally misses the mark. We have to understand what comes before it if we're going to want to change the behavior. So taking some steps backward and saying, well, what was the thought that I had here? Even drawing it out. I will have folks in my counseling sessions actually actually draw it out. What thought did you have? Then what feeling did that produce? Then what was the behavior? And if you want to seek to change the behavior, you're going to have to interrupt it. Hopefully at the thought level. It can be interrupted at the feeling level too. But ideally, we get to the point where we can snatch it at the thought level, adjust the thought around it, which then will change the feeling and it will change the behavior into something more advantageous and beneficial for us.
I hope you got that. If you didn't catch all that, then, go back 15 seconds because that was gold. Thanks, you.
Jen.
Thank you.
AI might be the most important new computer technology ever. It's storming every industry, and literally billions of dollars are being invested. So, buckle up. The problem is that AI needs a lot of speed and processing power. So, how do you compete without costs spiraling out of control? It's time to upgrade to the next generation of the cloud, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, or OCI. OCI is a single platform for your infrastructure, database, application development, and AI needs. OCI has 4 to 8 times the bandwidth of other clouds, offers one consistent price instead of variable regional pricing, and of course, nobody does data better than Oracle. So now you can train your AI models at twice the speed and less than half the cost of other clouds. If you want to do more and spend less, like Uber, 8x8, and Databricks Mosaic, take a free test drive of OCI at oracle.com/strategic. That's oracle.com/strategic. oracle.com/strategic.
We know New Year's resolutions often don't stick. In fact, on average, they last around 30 days. So if saving money is on your 2024 resolution list, here's a foolproof way to stick to yours.
Switch your phone provider to Mint Mobile. For a limited time, wireless plans from Mint Mobile are $15 a month when you purchase a 3-month plan. That's unlimited talk, text, and data for $15 a month.
For those of you paying close to $40 a month for just one phone line, this means a savings of $300 over the course of the year. We especially like Mint because all plans come with unlimited talk and text and high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network.
To get this new customer offer and your new 3-month unlimited wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/frugal. That's mintmobile.com/frugal. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/frugal. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details.
All right, so let's move on to our next article from Vox.com, and it's 5 sneaky mental tricks to spend less while shopping. And I liked every single one of these and all of the little graphics that go with them. Vox just really does it. So, Jill, what did you think of this one?
Yeah, it was a visually pleasing article, and they use the term behavioral economics. Mm-hmm. So for those of you who want just more research and more on these kinds of topics, these are the types of things you can be searching for. What does behavioral economics have to do with this? What does cognitive science have to do with this? Those are some good keyword searches.
Richard Thaler is a really good author, a behavioral economics expert. And so anything by him, it will be good.
Yeah. And so they start this article out by saying that behavioral economics can teach us a lot about why we tend to neglect our budgets or overspend. One theory that can stick out from behavioral economics is the present bias, meaning we will often value the present gratification over the long term. They reference the marshmallow research test. That's the word. Thank you. Which I don't know if you've seen it, Jen. I think there's that Magic for Humans.
I use that one all the time.
It's so good. I mean, first of all, it's just such a fun show. If you haven't checked it out, check it out. Magic for Humans. And he does this test with like toddlers and young kids, which is just so funny, of offering them a marshmallow now or 2 marshmallows later. And some of them you can see it's so cute. They like hold out, and then others are like, I want this thing now. And like they eat it, but then they try and hide the fact that they ate it. But we're no different from those toddlers and children. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That we, even though we can rationally say it's going to be more advantageous to me and my future self if I let this thing grow and have greater benefit in the future, but I want my marshmallow right now. I want this good thing right now, because we favor our present selves over our future selves. I'm not my future self right now. I'm my present self right now, and I want to treat myself. And so just even recognizing that can help interrupt some of those patterns.
That show is so great. He uses a lot of these psychological techniques.
That is magic. You have to know people and human behavior in order to trick them.
Yeah. So another one of my favorites of his is that he's talking to people and he's like, I can guess which actor you're thinking of. And so he says this and like, nah. And he has a conversation with them and then asks them to think of an actor, and he shows them what he's written down before he even started the conversation. And without fail, all of them say Tom Hanks. And he wrote down Tom Hanks. And the reason he was able to get them to all say Tom Hanks is because throughout the conversation, he was just dropping particular words or concepts or ideas from different Tom Hanks movies. So like Castaway, Toy Story, all of these things to make them think of Tom Hanks movies. And so it was so crazy because that's also a marketing technique. So luxury marketers will use in their marketing more luxury-focused words, verbiage, to make you feel like you deserve luxury. Like that's what you are accustomed to and can afford, whether it is true or not. So that's also, marketers use that all over the place.
We've got to combat these magic tricks with our own magic tricks. I know you said it's not about tricks, but it might be.
It might be, yeah.
Tricks are for kids and maybe for adults.
Yeah. So let's dive into some of these tricks. The first one is to never go shopping without a list. And this might seem so old-fashioned, but it is so effective. And it's not like a cash envelope system that's like very inconvenient. Shopping with a list is very convenient. It's, not the most convenient, but it is still convenient. And it just helps you so much to avoid impulse buys.
Not only does it help impulse buys, it helps me when I'm at the store not forget something and have to come back to the store. So as I run out of something, I just have a running list on my phone. And actually, Eric and I are taking it to the next level where I'm making a checklist, like a Google Sheets checklist, or a Google checklist, I guess is what it is. And then I share it with him. So if we're at the store together and we really want to be efficient with our time, we both have access to the checklist and we're able to check it off. So we're able to keep up with each other knowing, oh, he already got this. I don't need to text him or call him and let him know. I already got the toilet paper, headed to the frozen food. It's like,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, I know.
Wow. My thought
We're
is
really trying to hack our whole lives, but it helps, to be, when you're shopping, it helps to not forget things, and then it helps keep you from buying things you don't need.
Yeah, that would be effective. Like when Travis will go to the grocery store just randomly for something. He's like, you need anything from the grocery store? I'm like, I don't know.
Yes.
You can share a list and then you know exactly what you need at the grocery store.
Mm-hmm. The next one on this list is to double check that you are, in fact, getting the best value. So this could mean you are at the store, you see something that is already on your list, and you want to know, the first thing could be, well, I'm just going to go get this. But we would strongly encourage you to do a quick search on your phone. Thank goodness for smartphones, and make sure that that is the best deal that you can purchase it for. Or even if it's possible that you could get that thing used. So just make sure, even if it's on your list, I need this. This has been something I've had my eyes on for a while. Make sure that the store that you're at is going to give you the best deal.
Yeah, I like that they mention bulk shopping,
people tend to overspend in warehouse stores, and bulk shopping is not the enemy. You just have to make sure, A, you're not buying bulk for the sake of buying bulk, because it typically is a better deal, but you have to make sure it's only on things that you really need or will benefit from buying in bulk. And then also actually do check the price per unit, because if it's just a few cents, it may not be worth buying in bulk, especially if it's something that's perishable. So this is really something to consider if you are a bulk shopper or prefer bulk buying.
Yes. I noticed I recently did that. The bulk price on just some window cleaner was so much better. I would say it was like 30% less expensive than if I were to have bought like 2 bottles of window cleaner. And it was actually preferred for me because I have my own spray bottles. So now this could just act like a refill for the entire house rather than needing to get individual bottles from the store and keep them in the different rooms, bathrooms, kitchen, laundry room throughout the house. Just refill it with that. And it's also reducing waste because now I have 1 container rather than 3 containers that I've bought. So yeah, sometimes it is just, even when you're at the store, even if it doesn't mean I've got to go to a different store, are you getting the best value? Which, like you said, are you using it too? We don't just want to become hoarders because it's a better price.
Absolutely. So the third on this list is to don't shop when you're feeling emotional. So this is so huge. I'm going to just read this first line right here. More than 7 in 10 people consider their finances a source of stress, according to a Capital One survey of more than 2,000 respondents in the U.S. If you're among them, be especially conscious when you're spending, since your emotions may further cloud your judgment. Isn't this such a vicious cycle? Money makes us stress. Stress makes us shop. Shopping reduces our liquid cash, and then all over again.
That's stressful. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is a vicious cycle.
So yeah, I think one way you can combat this is to, again, be prepared so you don't have to make as many decisions when you are stressed, because that increases decision fatigue exponentially. So make a list of things, self-care things you can do when you're feeling different types of emotions. So not just negative emotions, but positive emotions too, because sometimes we can shop to celebrate. But what are the things that you're going to do when you're feeling sad? What are the things you're going to do when you're feeling mad? What are the things you're going to do when you're feeling like really joyful or happy? And so you have things to do other than shop to celebrate or deal with these emotions. And they don't have to be like, schedule a call with your therapist. They don't have to even be effective, but just something you can do real quick, instant gratification like, so that you're not running to the store to, blow off steam or whatever with an emotion.
And already having a list for when you're in the moment, again, helps remove some of those barriers of decision fatigue or being able to problem solve that in the moment when you are excited or you are sad. So just having a list, even though it's very simple, it's like, I know these things already, just having them in front of you, something you can look at, okay, what thing on this list can I do? You're more likely to do it if the barrier to that entry is taken away.
Yeah. And it can eliminate some guilt too, I think, because we want to be efficient and we want to be like healthier in all these areas. But when you're trying to change a habit, and this is, not a habit, but this is similar. When you're trying to change a habit, you need to replace it with something that's equal in kind of level, so to speak. And so if you are turning to shopping when you have an emotion, you need to think of something that's on the same level as that. Not necessarily like when I'm celebrating a raise, I'm going to give $1,000 to charity. That's a different level, You need to think of something small that's on the same level as shopping that you can replace shopping with. So we're not trying to make become leaps and bounds better people. Just a little something that's on the same level as shopping to replace that emotional outlet with.
And I appreciate the spectrum that you described here, because I'll be honest, to hear this line when I first read this article, there's part of me that wants a little bit of pushback on this. Don't shop when you feel emotional. Almost we can use this word emotional in a very negative way. It often is associated negatively, like you're just being emotional. It's a way to kind of discount people. And so I like that you described, Jen, the spectrum, either when we're happy or sad. And we know that there's other more complicated emotions than those two, but that's, a little bit of the spectrum. I would maybe offer an alternative vernacular to this of maybe feeling emotionally vulnerable. So in a position where because of XYZ, again, whether happy or sad or somewhere in the middle, I am more vulnerable to making some of these decisions that might derail some of my goals or things that are actually going to benefit me. Knowing our vulnerabilities will help us to be able to protect them. There's nothing wrong with vulnerability. Vulnerability is beautiful. It's part of the human condition. But knowing and recognizing our vulnerability and being able to care for ourselves in the midst of it, move towards protection of vulnerability. I know I've said this soundbite before, but I'll say it again because I think it's relevant here. Vulnerability without protection leads to exploitation. I'll say it again because I do think that this is something even worth writing down. Vulnerability without protection leads to exploitation, meaning that if we don't move to protect these areas of vulnerability inside of ourselves, they will be exploited in us. An example of that would be, I was sad, there was no protection for me, I went to the coping mechanism that most made sense, and I spent my entire grocery budget for the month, right? That would be an exploitation. There's other areas that we can talk about related to that, and of course, there's so many deeper implications. But as far as talking about our budgets, this still remains true. And again, it's not about removing our vulnerability. It's about moving to protect it. Mm-hmm. So like you said, Jen, creating that list of go-to things that we can do, happy or sad, that are going to be beneficial for us, that are not going to derail us from our hopes, goals, and dreams when we're in those emotionally vulnerable states.
Absolutely. So much wisdom right there. And that's exactly where my head went when you started. I was like, yes, the vulnerability without protection leads to exploitation. And it is so relevant here. All right. So number 4 is to sleep on it before purchasing large items. And so this is just a good rule of thumb. I remember a few months ago, by the time this comes out, I was, for something for my business, got a really big price tag for something. And it was very stressful because I thought I needed it. I thought that it was the only way forward for me, but it seemed very out of my budget. And so I had to sleep on it after I cried quite a bit about it. And then I slept on it, and then I slept off that decision fatigue because I'm sure I know I was exhausted when I went to sleep because I had all of these micro decisions running through my head about this purchase that I thought I should make. And when it's for your business, you can kind of justify it a little bit more than when it's for yourself. But yeah, I think it might be the same for kids. So I went to bed and I woke up the next day and I was much more level-headed about it and ended up thinking of or reaching out to find alternatives that were more affordable for me and went with one of those. But that reaching out to find alternatives wasn't even on my mind when I was so stressed. So for sure, sleep is sacred. I love sleep. Do it.
Sometimes sleep is the best thing we can do for ourselves.
Yeah.
And I won't get too into the weeds on this, but when we are able to enter into that REM cycle, the rapid eye movement, it's like the specific and deepest point of sleep in our sleep cycle that we have. And it is necessary for actual rest of our bodies and like rejuvenation of things. When we're able to get into that REM cycle, it does help. The reason that we can wake up and think more clearly is for what can happen in our brains as we sleep. Again, I'm not going to get too into the weeds or the science behind it. Just know that sleep is helpful for our thought patterns, our memory formation. Sleep allows us, specifically when we're in that REM cycle, to be able to put things in correct files in our brain. So yes, for many, many reasons, it's good to be able to sleep on it and wake up refreshed and rejuvenated. We're not going to make the best decisions when we're sleep deprived, but especially if we're feeling really uncertain about something, usually there's nothing so urgent that we can't put a night of rest in between us and our final decision.
Absolutely.
And the final one on this is number 5, to say no to sales unless the item is already on your list. So we already did allude to this, but you are not saving money if you're spending money. It doesn't matter how inexpensive that item is, how on sale it is compared to what it typically goes for. If you don't need it, if it's not on your list, if it's not something you've had opportunity to sleep on, say no to it. No red, yellow sticker is alluring enough to get you away from your savings and spending goals. So
absolutely,
unless
looking
it's
at
something
you,
you're looking
Aldi
for.
aisle of shame shoppers.
The Aldi finds, it's so dangerous.
Looking in the mirror.
Again, if it's something you needed, I already needed a beach chair. Thank you, Aldi finds, for giving me one that's far less expensive than I thought that I would ever get it. Fantastic. But no, thank you, Cheez-Its Explosions. That was never on my list.
Cheez-Its Explosions. They shouldn't be on anybody's list.
It does sound good though, but I already have cheddar goldfish at home.
Oh, snacks. Yeah, I mean, marketers, again, will use this tactic. They will use percentages off versus amount of money off, because percentages can be higher than amount of money. And studies have shown that if something is 20% off versus $20 off, even if $20 is a higher percentage, people tend to go with the 20% off if things are similar, because we're just accustomed to, or even 30% off. 30% off is less than $20 off. People will still go for the percentage one because it's a bigger number. And so the store makes more money because they're giving you less than $20 off. You think you're getting a better deal because you see that 30 number. But yeah, it's just not true. If you didn't need the item, if it's not on your list, you're not saving money. And I'm so sorry. There are some people out there that just love to find a deal. Like that is their core values. They love to be on the hunt. But you can figure out, you don't have to give up that value. Just think of another way to live it out. It doesn't have to be in purchasing things, at least for yourself. There are tons of things you can hunt for. So get creative.
Just not people. Don't hunt for people.
Oh yeah, don't do that.
You know what's a better idea to do with your time?
Oh yeah, that you can really channel your energy into whoever you are.
The bill of the week.
That's right. It's time for the best minute of your entire week. Maybe a baby was born and his name is William. Maybe you paid off your mortgage. Maybe your car died and you're happy to not have to pay that bill anymore. Duck bills, Buffalo Bills, Bill Clinton. This is the bill of the week.
Hi, Jen and Jill. This is Laura from New York. My bill of the week is my Target credit card bill. I finally paid it off. I got it in 2013 and have always held a balance on it, sometimes even close to maxing it out. And since we bought our house last summer, I've held a pretty high balance on it. And my goal was to pay that off first. So I have paid it off and closed the account and opened a Target debit card because I still need that 5% discount. So super excited to finally get that one paid off, and stop impulse shopping at Target all the time. Thank you so much for the podcast. You guys are awesome.
Yes, Laura.
We do not listen to these before we play them. Just for the millionth time, but it's so perfect. This one was so perfect.
Congruent and relevant to what we're talking about. Not only the decision that you made for yourself to pay it off and not have that lingering over you, but to set up barriers to experiencing this again in the future where you have debt on a Target credit card, to connect it to the debit card, which is a specific tip and trick for Target. You can still get that 5% discount with a Target debit card. It does not have to be their credit card. So well done putting now a barrier in between you and where you know your vulnerabilities are. Protecting that vulnerability, Laura, well done. We're celebrating with you.
Yes. If you want to submit your bill of the week, please visit frugalfriendspodcast.com/bill to leave us a bill.
We all agree that reducing carbon emissions is a good thing. And once again, Toyota is leading the way.
Yeah, we hear a lot about fully electric vehicles, and Toyota, they got them with more on the way, I'm telling you.
We also know a BEV is not for everyone, whether it's because of cost, range, or if you're like Ray and you're going to start freaking out, oh no, I can't find a charging station when that battery gets real low.
Yeah, plus the raw materials used to manufacture batteries are limited. Enter Beyond Zero. So Toyota's vision for a carbon neutral future in vehicles and in manufacturing plants too. In the years ahead, trust me, it's happening, baby. The materials used to make just one long-range battery for an EV could be used to make batteries for 6 plug-in hybrids or 90 gas-electric hybrids.
That's why Toyota's position today is electrified, diversified,
Woo!
Empowering you to choose how to reduce your own carbon footprint with the vehicle that's right for you, a hybrid, plug-in hybrid, or battery EV.
So shop, learn more, or get details at toyota.com/beyond zero. Toyota, let's go places.
Vroom, vroom.
It's never too late. Never too late to earn a degree. Never too late for a comeback. Between your busy career and taking care of a family, it can feel like there's never a good time to go back to school. But your time is now. Time to start your comeback with Purdue Global. As Purdue's online university for working adults, Purdue Global is dedicated to supporting adults like you who know it's time to earn the recognition you deserve. You have the experience, you have the knowledge, it's time to get credit for the work you've done. You can balance work, family, and everything in between while earning your degree. It's time to move forward in your career, for your family and for yourself, with a degree you're proud of, a degree that employers will recognize and respect. You're worth this investment in yourself to earn a degree you deserve. It's never too late. Never too late to go back to school and come back stronger with an education you can trust. Now is the time for your comeback. Start yours today at purdueglobal.edu.
And now it's time for the lightning round.
So today we are talking psychology tricks we personally use to keep from overspending that kind of share some of our triggers and how we get creative in overcoming them. So Jill, you have a list.
I got a list.
I have a sentence and you have a list.
And tricks, baby girl.
Please start. Give them to me, please.
Well, for those of you who have listened for a while, you know that spending isn't necessarily my area of difficulty. I am between Eric and I am more the saver. However, that's not to say that I am immune to impulse buys. So here we go. I do not scroll shopping sites for entertainment. So you're not going to find me on Amazon or cute bathing suit websites or even Facebook Marketplace. Like, I do not go on a Facebook Marketplace just for like a fun scroll to see what people are selling in the area. I go on if I'm looking for something specific, which I didn't realize was a tip until like I just started talking to other people and realizing, oh, a lot of people will just like, I'm bored or I'm procrastinating. Let me look on my favorite site and see like what kind of deals they got going on. So I just don't do that. I avoid it. I also just like avoid going to the store. So if that tip can help you, great. Find something else to look up online. It doesn't mean that you can't be on the internet, but maybe research something that you're curious about. I've gotten real curious about honeybees. So much interesting information there. So if you want to get started somewhere, just, learn more about honeybees. Also, my next tip, shop the perimeter of the grocery store. I stay out of the middle. The middle is where typically most of the unnecessary items are. Shopping the perimeter gets me my fruit, veggies, bread, dairy products. And that's about all I need to live off of. Meat. Yeah, right? Those are the basics. Those are the nutritional pieces that I need.
But not your wavy Lays.
However, you will catch me getting some chips and getting some frozen pizza. Okay, I am still human. You might find me down those aisles, but in general, I'm just in the perimeter. That helps. Also, I do a review of my cart. I'm talking about physical shopping at this point. If I am physically shopping and I physically have a cart, I do a review of it before checkout of, okay, is there anything in here that it just kind of like looked cool, but now at second glance, like I don't actually need this thing. And so this blends into my next tip, which is a self-check. I do I need it? Can I make it? Can I find it less expensive? Those are some of my go-to decision tree questions that I ask myself. And a lot of times that can help me weed out. Also, I have found patience. Patience is a virtue. We know that. But if I can be patient on something, usually that does allow me to get the deal, but also just to be looking around at all the different places for that thing. And because I've had a list, as I'm out and about, I'm able to keep checking. Like when I say I have a list, I have a grocery list. And then I also have here's what's on my radar to purchase for the home list. It does not mean I need it right now. It does not mean the next time I go to the store, I'm getting that thing. It's just a helpful reminder when I am at the store. Oh, do I happen to come across this thing? Is it a good deal? Is the price point that I was hoping to pay for it? Just as an example, we've known the type of dishwasher that we want to get for our kitchen. It's been on our radar, but we know we don't want to pay full price for it. So we've just been keeping an eye on it. Anytime we're at Lowe's or Home Depot, or sometimes, we'll check out the dented appliances. Anyhow, long story short, we've just been patient, and I caught it in the clearance aisle way in the back of Lowe's for like 60% off, and we were able to snag it.
That was a steal for you.
Yeah, but it's because we've been in our house for a full year and we're just waiting on the dishwasher we want. In the meantime, I've been the dishwasher. Got really good forearm strength because of it. And finally, here's my final trick and tip is if I feel stressed, like I've learned to assess and evaluate and know what some of the signals inside my body mean. This might sound dramatic, but sometimes I can feel stressed, a little sweaty, a little uneasy inside myself when I'm about to make a purchase. I have learned, don't ignore that. Don't just push through it. It's usually a sign I'm not at peace about buying that thing. I don't actually want to buy it. I feel so much more relief putting it back on the shelf and walking out the door. Mm-hmm. So just paying attention to that and not being like, no, I think I want it. I think I really want to buy it. And allowing that adrenaline to kind of move me towards the purchase. I've worked towards allowing it to move me away from the purchase, and I've not been disappointed yet.
Nice.
What about for you, Jen?
Well, my list is a little shorter. So I used, so when we were paying off debt, I definitely was triggered by the social media thing. We were newlyweds and a lot of our friends were newlyweds. And so, if you've been around newlyweds, you know what happens. That 2-income household comes in and you get in new cars, you buy in a house, upgrading your wardrobe, taking a vacation. And so it felt like all of my friends were doing that during the 2-year span that we were paying off debt. And so I was either
get off of like either I leave or you leave. And I wasn't leaving because Facebook was all I had. So I had to unfollow quite a few friends that are good friends. They are still to this day my very good friends. I just didn't want to see what they were doing. I didn't want to know.
Yeah, to be clear, unfollowing on social media is different from cutting someone off in real life.
You just don't, you no longer see those things in your news feed unless you intentionally go to that person's profile. And you can turn it off and follow them again, which I do. So, because, I want them to see my vacation photos now. No.
The life I've been able to have now that I'm debt free.
Yeah. But so I had to do that. I had no shame. And I still, tell people, like, you can do that. That's an option. You can unfollow somebody. So if they follow you, they'll never know that you don't follow them. So that's a key thing that I've learned. And so now I don't use that method, but I'm really cognizant of decision fatigue and helping my brain make the best decisions possible for as long as possible, because I have realized I'm lazy, like straight up lazy.
You are the least lazy person on the planet.
When it's things I don't care about, I'm super lazy. If it's something I care about, like I will work my fingers to the bone. I hurt my pointer finger last week. Like,
typing?
No, clicking on the mouse. The clicking one. It went numb last week, Jill.
Jeez.
Yeah.
I will work my fingers to
literally
the bone because
because I could no longer feel the tip of my finger. And so if I care about it, it's fine. But if it's not something that is, aligned with my highest values, I am disgustingly lazy. Usually, you can ask Travis. So I have to put as many systems in place to make, decisions better. So one of the main things for me is avoiding physical clutter so that I can have more space for cognitive energy. That's a big thing for me. Clutter. I grew up in a clean home because my dad was a clean freak. And when he died, the house just kind of went to like cluttered hoarder ruin. And so like I kind of have like PTSD from that. And that stresses me out. And so now I realize that. So my house is not always clean and uncluttered, but I have fewer things in it so it doesn't get as messy and cluttered because I have a 2-year-old. Cleaning is not my core value. So I just put those barriers into place and bring as few things into my house as possible so that level of mess and clutter never gets to a level that stresses me out and makes me like unable to make wise decisions.
Mm-hmm. I think this is probably the case for a lot of people. I definitely am not going to say everybody, but our physical space does bear weight on our mental capacities, emotional capacities, relational capacities. And so even keeping a pulse on how your environment is impacting you, and then what steps can you make to be able to free up some of that, because it is going to make a difference and it's going to impact all of these other areas. So you're definitely not alone in that. That is a really helpful insight, I think.
Yeah. So that's the end of my list.
That's a good one, though. You picked the good ones.
Thank you.
I just say I shop the perimeter of the grocery store.
I geek out on this like spending psychology, like not all of psychology in general, but just spending psychology. I am a nerd.
Yeah.
I can research it and click my finger to the bone about it.
Well, we hope you enjoyed that one as much the second time around as you did the first time around.
Jen, I hope currently as this episode is airing, you are enjoying your second time around of having a baby. Maybe not more than the first time around, but equally as much.
Enjoy isn't the word I would describe the first 6 weeks.
Yeah.
But I hope I'm making it.
Do you find that in those first few weeks / months, it is harder to not spend money? Like, does this psychological trick thing play into what you need to consider?
I think so. This is actually a good point. When you're talking about using psychological tricks or hacks or just the understanding of how your brain works, your brain has to be functioning. Yeah. And so that requires sleep. It requires rest. So there are seasons where you kind of just have to give in to the season. And we believe like you should be living in every season, not fighting against the season you're in. And the first 6 weeks after giving birth is no season to expect yourself to be
shooting on all cylinders.
Right. Yes. So if you are prepared with some of these going in and they're already like habits, they're automations almost, then yeah, like I'm not going out and impulse buying crazy things when I'm tired and stressed. But if I can't get the baby to sleep and the car ride is the only thing, then best believe I'm going to hit up like 3 different drive-thrus and just get fries at all of them. And that that's
called self-care.
Yeah. And that's what we do. So yeah, that's a good point to make sure that the season, if you want to take advantage of the things in this episode, you also need to be taking care of your brain.
Your mind. Yeah. And sometimes that's easier than other times. Sometimes there's just a reality to the season and you're not going to be as on top of it. Mm-hmm. And that's okay.
Yeah. So thank you so much for listening. We know many of you are working to stick to your budget so that you can pay off debt. We actually have a monthly membership for that where we do monthly money challenges. We offer accountability groups. And we want to congratulate one of our members for a big one. This one's from Jessica. She says, back when you aired the episode about unclaimed money, I went and looked for myself, my husband, and siblings. My husband got a bunch back, previous military, way back when, and got another check today for $5,000, and we needed it since we just paid for the boys' summer camp.
That's amazing, Jessica. Mm-hmm. It's your money. It's not like, oh yeah, there's like bonus money. Mm-hmm. It's money that's unclaimed for one reason or another. Sometimes it's money that has been like an inheritance, but whoever was managing the will wasn't able to like get it into the right hands. Sometimes it's just like a utility bill you overpaid for in a previous state and you had already moved and changed your address and they couldn't get it to you. Like there's so many reasons. And I cannot tell you the amount of times we've heard from people like this worked for them. Yeah, like every time we talk about it, someone new's like, I wonder if I've got unclaimed money.
Yeah, I had an insurance premium that was owed back to me. And it sounds like the military might owe some people some money. So congrats, Jessica. If you listening want to check out our membership, and I guess that win's not exclusive to just our members, but we're very glad that we get to chat with Jessica and hear about her wins. If you want to share your wins and have a few extra, then head to frugalfriendspodcast.com/club. Check out the Frugal Friends Club. We got courses, interviews, challenges, all kinds of good stuff, and friends.
See you next time.
Frugal Friends is produced by Eric Sirianni.
All right, Jill. Yeah, 2 different songs. Monkeys jumping on the bed. And then I guess you have one from Monkeys Rolling Over. So you were right, I guess. I don't know. I don't fully know what. I don't know what was rolling over.
5 little monkeys jumping on the bed. One fell off and bumped his head. Mama called the doctor. The doctor said, "No more monkeys jumping on the bed."
That is the song I know.
Okay.
I don't know the one of rolling over.
Now, there were 10 in the bed, and the little one said, roll over, roll over. So they all rolled over. One fell out. There were 9 in the bed. The little one said, roll over, roll over.
But there's no animal reference.
Rolled over, and one fell out. There were 8 in the bed. But what are they?
What are they?
What are they that roll over? I guess the book that I saw, they were all just a bunch of stuffed animals. And I think the book that I had read did at least have a monkey stuffed animal. But look at that. It has blended to become one nursery rhyme, apparently, in my head, all leading us to capitalize. Where you can roll over your 401k.
Wow. They should have really paid us to say that, because that was a lot of research we had to do.
Who knew?
Into that.
What happened in my mind? You're the pregnant one. And I'm over here blending 10 in the bed with, what's the title of the other one? 5 little monkeys jumping on the bed.
A lot of beds.
Gosh, who's
going to fault you for that?
They're
beds.
all falling. They're bumping their head. There's too many of them.
There's way too many
chaotic.
of them.
It's a very similar story. I'm not sure that I ever realized.
If you've got 10 of anything in a bed, stop it.
Okay, 10 in the bed, and then 5 little it's 5 monkeys.
5 monkeys.
5 little monkeys. Two different songs.
Yeah.
I kind of don't fault myself for not knowing it was 2 different songs. And I kind of don't believe anybody who says, like, I knew all along and I know all the differences between those 2 songs.
Like I told you that. Yeah. Huh. Okay. The one with a child. Okay.
Oh, I'm still confused, even with the proof in front of me.
You're confused because you don't want to be wrong. You're not confused. You understand it.
I'm confused at what happened in my head. And I'm like still confused that there's so many different nursery rhymes.
You know
about
what? In order for us
of
to
this.
use the psychology
Yes,
and take
dissect
advantage
this.
of the shortcuts that our minds allow us, we have to have full capacities.
I don't
And
think
you're
I'm
tired.
well. I'm not well. I don't know the difference between the monkeys.
You are tired.
stuffed
You just had guests leave your house. Like you've had people in your house.
At the time of recording, you all know Jen's about to give birth. So we are stacking up these episodes and we are recording this the day after the Super Bowl. And I'm not going to lie. I am from Philadelphia. We are Eagles fans. And I was painted up. I was ready for the Eagles.
I found out she was an Eagles fan like a week ago.
I was ready. You could have assumed. I was ready for the Eagles to take home that ring. And you know what else? It is my last name is the same as the coach of the Eagles this year, Nick Sirianni. So there's a lot going for me. There was a lot riding on this.
I brought you
They let us down. And my voice is nearly gone. And I'm tired and confused.
I brought you a condolence croissant.
Tell them what you told me, Jen. Tell them what you told me.
Okay, so there's 4 of you here, 4 Eagles fans, and I brought 2 condolence croissants because I did really feel bad. I'm not a fan of any team. And so I brought these croissants, but I only brought 2 because only winners get a full croissant. They had to split them. So that was...
You know, you're lucky that I took it. I took it on the chin. I was concerned, though, that one in the group might not be as amicable.
She told me this, and I said, I'm willing to die for this joke. I'm willing to die to get the chance to say this one more time.
They wouldn't have killed you. They just might have, like, pushed you over. Not rolled you over, pushed you over.
And from what I hear from Eagles fans...
We love doing that.
Yeah.
I love
hear
climbing poles, tipping vehicles.
Setting things on fire.
Starting fires.
Whether you win or lose.
Yeah. There's just a lot of rage and opportunities to rage.
Yeah. And I think it's more about the rage itself than the football.
Oh, for sure.
Let's unpack that.
Nope. See you later.
With the best all-inclusive vacation deals to Mexico and the Caribbean, booking your getaway with Cheap Caribbean Vacations means you have more freedom to do your deal. Whether you want to enjoy snorkeling, endless margaritas, and more, or simply soak up the sun and sand in a tropical paradise, Cheap Caribbean Vacations has your deal for that. Plan and book the exact getaway you want at exactly the right price for you by using our exclusive budget Beach Finder, or find a featured all-inclusive package and do your deal at cheapcaribbean.com.
Bring home Napoleon.
Destiny has brought me here.
The action epic from acclaimed director Ridley Scott.
What is your name?
Napoleon, you are the greatest leader in the history of the world.
Witness the rise
You are nothing without me.
of the legend. Starring Academy Award winner Joaquin Phoenix and Vanessa Kirby.
I'm the first to admit when I make a mistake. I simply never do.
Napoleon. Buy or rent on digital now. Rated R.